Today I'm going to share with you some of my favorite recipes that bring the feel of special in, and you can use on any occasion. Aprons on, let's go. The first two recipes are Parmesan recipes. We're going to make eggplant parm and chicken Parmesan. The process is easier than you think. Trust me, I grew up with an Italian grandmother. These are easy and delicious. First up is eggplant Parmesan. You'll need about 1 to 2 big eggplants and start slicing them about 1/4 of an inch. I like to get the moisture out of my eggplant, so I'll sprinkle some salt on top. So this salt is going to do a couple of things. One, it's going to pull the moisture out, which you want for your eggplant parm. You don't want soggy parm. But two, it gets the bitter taste out. Have it sit covered for up to 30 minutes. If you only have 15 minutes, that's fine. When the time is up, you'll notice that there'll be little beads of water on top. Pat that dry. Okay, now we're gonna get the eggplant ready to fry up. In a bowl, you're gonna add some breadcrumbs and about 3 to 4 eggs in the other one. And to your breadcrumbs, you can add some garlic powder. Beat your eggs, and then you'll take your eggplant slices, dunk them in the eggs, and then coat them very well with the breadcrumb mixture. Knock off any excess breadcrumbs, and I like to lay them on a cooling tray. In your pan, have about 2 to 3 tablespoons of oil heated, and then add your eggplant to the pan and lightly fry them. So fry them up until they're nice and golden brown. To your baking dish, coat the bottom with some light marinara sauce, then add a layer of your eggplant slices, and then top each of them with a little bit more of the sauce. And then hit each one with some mozzarella cheese. Today I'm using shredded cheese, but go ahead and slice any fresh mozzarella that you have. Once that is topped with cheese, add another layer of eggplant. Then repeat with the sauce, top each of them with some sauce and some more cheese. You could also grate some Parmesan cheese and sprinkle that on top. Another version of eggplant Parmesan that I absolutely love is when you put your first layer of eggplant down. I like to put on top a little bit of ricotta cheese. Then I'll add the mozzarella, another layer of eggplant, sauce, and then more mozzarella cheese. Honestly, this way is my favorite way. You'll bake this at 375 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes, just until the cheese is nice and bubbly and lightly brown on top. And then when it comes out, top it with some chopped basil. I love to serve this up on top of some spaghetti. Oh, look at that. Isn't that delicious? Give it a try with the ricotta cheese. I promise you'll love it. You can heat up your favorite sauce, your favorite marinara sauce, homemade sauce, whatever it is. I'm gonna add a little bit more love to this. I'm gonna add some of this basil to my sauce and mix it in. And I'm gonna get this heated through. I have my chicken cut into cutlets and flattened. And I'm gonna season each one with some salt and pepper. And I'm even gonna put some garlic powder on. And I'm gonna do this to all of my chicken cutlets. Next, I'm gonna take my chicken cutlets and I'm going to dredge them in the flour mixture and dip it into my beaten eggs. And then we will hit it again with some Italian breadcrumbs. So I heated up some oil in a pan, and then I'm just gonna drop my chicken cutlets in. And we're just gonna brown it up on both sides till it's beautiful and golden brown. Look how gorgeous the chicken cutlets turned out. So good. I have a pot of water coming to a boil for my spaghetti. Next, in my big baking dish, I am going to add some of the sauce that we heated up. I've got a thin layer, and I'm just gonna start laying down my cutlets. These are so gorgeous. Let's put a layer of sauce, just a little one, on top of those cutlets. I don't wanna soak them too much. Now let's add that cheese on. What I have here is some sliced mozzarella and some provolone. I'm gonna start layering the top of the chicken with this. First, I'm gonna do provolone and then the mozzarella. What would be really good is some Parmesan Reggiano. I don't have any fresh, but I'll just find the grated in the fridge, and I'll also sprinkle that on top of this as well. The best would be fresh herbs, but I don't have any fresh herbs, so I'm just gonna sprinkle some parsley on top. I have my oven heated to 350 degrees. I'm gonna put this in there uncovered. Basically, we are just going to keep it in there until the cheese is melted. The chicken's already cooked through, so we're just gonna keep our eye on it until it's all melty. When your water is ready, and just drop in your spaghetti. Okay, and just sauteing up some asparagus to go along with it. Oh, would you look how gorgeous the chicken is. Look at that melted cheese, it's perfect. Here is my spaghetti. I'll plate it up with a little bit of sauce on top. Now let's hit it with a gorgeous cutlet. Look how yummy. I used to be so intimidated by chicken parm, but it's really not as hard as you think. But I have another way of making this for you if you want to save a lot more time. I like to snag a bag of these Tyson Pinko chicken breast tenderloins. They are delicious. This is always a backup in our home. The chicken is raw, so you do need to bake them in the oven. But then when it comes out, you hit the top with your favorite sauce and top it with the cheese. Throw it back in the oven and let the cheese melt, and you have the quickest chicken Parmesan ever. If you are pork lovers, you're gonna love these recipes. They're easy and delicious. These pork chops are so irresistible. You're gonna wanna go for seconds. They are so good. So you'll need about a pound of boneless pork chops, but I'm using bone in because that's how my butcher prepared our pork chops. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna create a seasoning mixture. In a way, I kind of measured this, but it was really by sight. And I did not measure it all the paprika, I did it by sight. Then I used the Weber steak and pork seasoning. If you can find this, guys, it knocks this recipe out of the park, seriously. Probably around 3/4 teaspoon of salt, about a half a teaspoon of black ground pepper. So combine that together. You're going to rub this in or just sprinkle on both sides over medium-high heat. Heat the tablespoon of oil and the tablespoon of butter. Once it's hot, add your pork chops, and you're going to brown these up. Then when you turn them over, start making your garlic butter. This is so good. So you're gonna need 4 tablespoons of unsalted room temperature butter, about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 3 garlic cloves minced, and a teaspoon of either fresh cilantro or parsley, finely chopped, or you could use dry. I've made this recipe twice and I've done both, and both have turned out beautiful. And cook your pork chops for 3 to 4 minutes per side until crispy and brown. Spread the butter mixture on top of the pork chops. I just put a big dollop on each pork chop. And then I lowered the heat and then put a lid on my pork chops. At this point, you can slip these into your oven at 340 degrees. I didn't. These were thin pork chops. If you're working with thick, I would put them in the oven. But with my Dutch oven pot, it was amazing. Like, I just lowered the heat all the way to low, put the cover on, and it finished off the cooking. So you could have it cook with the lid on for another 10 to 15 minutes until your meat is tender. And then when they're done, take them out, put them on a serving plate. Then I noticed we were left with this yummy seasoned buttery mixture. But I decided, since I was making mashed potatoes, that I thought, this would be a yummy gravy. So I added some flour in and mixed that around and grabbed all the bits at the bottom. I poured in some chicken stock, mixed it thickened up, and it made the most tastiest gravy ever. So we had that over our pork chops and our mashed potatoes. You guys, this recipe is delicious. This next pork recipe is going to have you going back for seconds. Let's gather our seasonings to make our rub. Let's go over to the counter. We're gonna need a teaspoon of the paprika, a teaspoon of the garlic powder, a half a teaspoon of the onion powder, a half a teaspoon of the thyme, salt, and this is just by taste, and some black pepper. Now let's grind up our rosemary. We need about a half a teaspoon, but you're not gonna go wrong with rosemary. Okay, we're gonna pat dry our tenderloin. Take some oil. I'm using olive oil. This is actually roasted garlic olive oil. So I'm just going to drizzle this on each. Okay, we're gonna rub this seasoning on the pork. Okay, once that's done, we're gonna heat up a pan with some olive oil and we're gonna sear this. Ooh boy. Okay, we're not done yet. We're gonna put a glaze over the top. Okay, we're gonna need a 1/4 cup of honey, and we're gonna need 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. You will need a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. You'll need about 4 cloves of garlic minced. We are going to do a tablespoon of olive oil. Whisk this together. It smells so good. All right, we're gonna brush this on. This smells so good, you guys, and it's not even in the oven yet. All right, I have my oven preheated to 375, and this is gonna cook for 25 minutes. From Costco, I picked up these sheet pan vegetables. So they're a lightly seasoned blend of Brussels sprouts, sweet potatoes, broccoli florets, red onion, and zucchini. So we're gonna get these on a baking sheet as well with parchment paper, and we're gonna drizzle that yummy glaze that we made over the vegetables. These are gonna roast in a 450-degree oven. Could take 30 minutes. Would you look at that? Oh, it smells so good. I can't wait to dig in. And now I'm going to drizzle this on here. Oh yes, get in my belly. Yum. Let me tell you, the glaze on these veggies turned out so good. They're absolutely delicious. Next, I'm going to share with you an easy asparagus side dish that you can prepare and a Greek tortellini salad that would go great with any meal that you put together. Our next side dish is roasted asparagus with garlic and Parmesan. Look how good this asparagus looks. You can use thin or thick. All I could find at our store right now is the nice skinny thin asparagus. Clean those up and we're gonna start chopping the ends off. Ooh, our asparagus is ready. We're gonna spray this with some olive oil baking spray. Okay, add your asparagus. I'm also going to drizzle my asparagus with some olive oil. I'm gonna sprinkle this with some sea salt. And then of course, we need some garlic. I love garlic. You can't go wrong with garlic. I don't know, do 2 or 3 cloves depending on like how much asparagus you have. I probably have almost a pound or about a pound. Garlicky. Yes. So I have shredded Parmesan cheese. You could sprinkle your asparagus with up to like 1/4 a cup. I just always eyeball this. So have your oven preheated to 400 degrees. And we're going to roast these for about 12 minutes or until they're about fork tender. Ooh, yum. Let's go. Oh my gosh, look at that asparagus. It smells so good. One of our favorite side dishes. Next up, we're gonna make a yummy Greek spinach tortellini salad. Boil a medium pot of water, salt it, and then drop down your cheese tortellini. We're gonna cook this for 7 minutes or until it's just al dente. Drain your tortellini and set aside for just a moment. Grab a bowl, we're gonna start making the dressing. I'm gonna chop up 2 tablespoons of parsley. I'm gonna take my red onion. You could do 1/2 of a red onion and just slice this thin. Just gonna take my lemon and give it a roll. This will help get the juices flowing. I need about 1/4 a cup of lemon juice. To get more juice out of your citrus, you can heat them up in the microwave for a bit to get all those juices flowing. Okay, you'll need 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar. And then you need 1/2 cup of extra virgin olive oil, your chopped parsley, and then a teaspoon of dried oregano, and then 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Give this a good mix. It smells so good. Okay, we're gonna add to this our cooked tortellini, and we're gonna coat this in it. Oh, you guys, this smells so good. We're gonna cover this and put this in the refrigerator for about 2 hours. This is going to marinate and be so good. I'm gonna take my hard-boiled eggs and quarter them. In a bowl or a platter, we're gonna add our spinach. Grab your tortellini, get that down. Okay, I gave the onions another slice down the middle. Get those in there. Gonna give this a toss. You'll need a cup of crumbled feta cheese and give that a toss. Now we could serve this up with the eggs right on top. And you could serve it up in this bowl, but I'm gonna put it in a pretty platter. Now take your eggs and place them down. Oh boy, this is so good. But you're going to love this spinach Greek tortellini salad. Go check your freezers. I bet you have some chicken breasts in there. These next 2 recipes are delicious and perfect for an anniversary or romantic dinner. They're creamy and oh so filling. So I made creamy mushroom chicken. So I doubled this recipe. So I'm using 4 chicken breasts that I sliced in half to make more of like a cutlet. I seasoned them with some salt and pepper, dredged them in some flour, and add them to a hot skillet with some olive oil. And I am browning these on each side for about 4 minutes each. While they're browning up, I'm preparing the potatoes for the Instant Pot mashed potatoes. This is not gonna take long to cook up. Okay, I'm gonna flip these over, and while the other side is cooking, I'm gonna slice up some mushrooms. And I'm using some portobello baby mushrooms. Now that the chicken is all browned up, I'm gonna move it to a plate. And in my pan, I'm gonna add a couple of tablespoons of butter, melt that down, then add in the mushrooms. And to this, I'm gonna add some Italian seasoning. I'm gonna mix this together and then it's gonna saute up. What's gonna happen is the mushrooms are gonna start releasing the water that's in them and then it'll evaporate out. And then we're gonna cook the mushrooms till they're lightly brown, like sear them up a bit for just a couple of minutes. Once that's done, you can add them to the plate of chicken. And then to your pan, you're gonna add a few cloves of minced garlic. I'm adding in chicken broth and lemon juice. And then about a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Give that a good mix. You're gonna have that cooked down for about 3 minutes. Then you'll hit it with your heavy whipping cream. You can definitely salt and pepper this to taste. Then add your chicken cutlets and mushrooms back into the pan. As I was tasting it, I noticed like it needed a little bit more, and then I was like, oh yeah, I add nutmeg. I add just a few dashes in and a little bit more salt, and it was perfect. I don't know what it is about using nutmeg in cream sauces, but it gives it that little something it needs. I learned that back in the day when I had my first child and I would binge watch Rachel Ray on the Food Network, and she would always put nutmeg in cream sauces. It just makes it taste better. I don't know what it is, but trust me, it's good. Cook it for another 5 minutes. You just wanna make sure that your chicken is cooked all the way through, and then things are gonna really start to thicken up. And when I was at the store yesterday, I just picked up a bag of sweet kale chopped kit that has kale in it, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and it has a packet of like dried cranberries and seeds with a yummy poppy seed dressing. I thought that sweetness of the salad would go really good with the chicken. All right, the chicken is done. I'm adding it to my serving plate so we can get that on the table. Oh, it smells so good and my stomach is growling. And to my salad, I am gonna sprinkle in some feta cheese. Dinner is ready, I can't wait. This recipe is so good, and we haven't had it in a long time, so it felt really special. I'm gonna share with you a Marry Me chicken recipe. I actually made this recipe for the family when my parents were here, and we celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. I am tripling this recipe. So I went ahead and cut my chicken breasts in half lengthwise. I sprinkled them with some garlic powder and salt and pepper. Then I went ahead and dredged each piece of chicken into some flour. I shook off any excess flour, the best that I could, and continued this with each chicken breast. Over medium heat, I heated up some olive oil with some butter, about 2 tablespoons. I made sure I evenly coated my pan with that. Once it was nice and hot, I placed the chicken cutlets in the skillet. I tried really hard not to overcrowd the pan. I ended up doing this in 2 pans, and I browned the chicken for 4 to 5 minutes on each side until they were golden brown and fully cooked through. So if it's easier for you to work in batches, do that because you don't want to overcrowd your pan. Once they were all browned up, I removed the chicken from the pan and I covered them on plates to keep them warm, and I just set them aside. Then I started mincing up about 10 cloves of garlic. In that same skillet, saute the minced garlic for about a minute until it becomes super fragrant. Then pour in your chicken stock. And then I'm just deglazing the bottom of the pan. All those yummy bits are gonna be so flavorful. I reduced my heat to about medium-low, and I added in grated Parmesan cheese and some of the heavy cream. I'm gonna season this with some chili flakes, thyme, and oregano. Then I'll adjust the taste with some salt and pepper. I'm gonna let this simmer for a few minutes until it thickens slightly. As I'm doing that, I'm chopping up some sun-dried tomatoes, adding those to the skillet, and I'll let the sauce simmer and thicken for a few more minutes. Once that was done, I just moved everything over to a nice casserole dish. We want to make sure that that chicken is coated well. And then you can garnish this with some fresh chopped basil leaves. This sauce is so yummy. You can even make this dish with pasta. When your chicken is done, shred it up a bit, chunk it up, boil your pasta, pour this all over it. So good. My parents loved the sauce, so they chose to have it over mashed potatoes. Then we served it up with some sauteed summer squash and zucchini and a salad. Oh, it was so tender, so flavorful, so good. And it is a hit. All right, these soup recipes definitely bring a feel of elegance in. They're delicious, and they make your tummy full, and I guarantee there's ingredients in your freezer and pantry that you already have that you can make this recipe. Let's make a hearty, comforting turkey pot pie soup. In my pot, I have some avocado oil. We're gonna saute up some onions and celery and carrots. And that has been a couple of minutes, and I'm gonna add a clove of garlic in. Oh, this smells so good. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon and a half more of butter in, and then I'm going to put a few tablespoons of flour. This is going to help us thicken it. Get all those good bits at the bottom. Coat the veggies, cook off that flour taste. Okay, once the flour is cooked, you're going to add your chicken stock. I have about 3.5 cups of chicken stock here. I'm gonna get all those good bits at the bottom of the pan too. Oh yeah. And work that flour in. Then you're gonna add 1.5 cups of heavy cream. 3.5 cups of chopped potatoes. I have a half a cup of frozen peas and a half a cup of frozen corn. I'm gonna add 3 to 3.5 cups of our leftover chopped up turkey, 2 bay leaves, 2.5 teaspoons of salt. And don't be afraid that that's too much salt because you have those potatoes in there, they're gonna suck that up. And then 1 teaspoon of ground black pepper and 1.5 to 1 teaspoons of dried thyme. After giving this a little taste, I'm gonna add some sage in, about a half a teaspoon. Okay, it's brought to a boil. I'm gonna put the cover cracked open. I just lowered the heat and it's gonna simmer until I like where the potatoes are at. Oh my goodness, this soup is amazing. And that sage gave it just exactly what it needed. Oh, it is so good and so hearty. Make this with chicken. If you've got chicken to use up, do the same thing. Look at that. Oh, yum. For this slow cooker creamy tortellini soup, you're gonna need a pound of ground Italian sausage, already cooked up, 1 chopped onion. Then you'll need 2 large carrots, 2 celery stalks chopped, and 4 garlic cloves minced. Next, you'll need a tablespoon of Italian seasoning, a half a teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of beef bouillon granules. Then you'll need 4 cups of beef broth. Now, if you don't have beef broth or don't care for it, you can use chicken stock if you want, or even vegetable. Okay, get your lid on and you're gonna cook on high for 4 hours or low for 7. Okay, when that's done after the 4 hours, you can try to skim some of the fat off the top if you'd like. You're gonna take 1/4 cup cornstarch and mix it with 1/4 cup of water. And we're gonna pour it in here. Then you're gonna need 36 ounces of either evaporated milk or half and half, and I'm using half and half. And then you're gonna need a bag of tortellini. This is cheese tortellini. Mine is frozen, and that'll be just fine. Give it a good mix. Okay, we're gonna cook this on high for another 45 minutes until it thickens. And the tortellini is soft and cooked through. Okay, another 45 minutes on high. I did it a little backwards. You add your tortellini in before you put the milk product in and let it cook. And then at this point we would add the milk, but it's all fine. It thickened. You could always add more cornstarch. I added a little bit more in. This is beautiful. So now I'm going to add the spinach in. So you need about 5 cups of spinach. And then you're gonna cook this for another 5 or 10 minutes until the spinach wilts down. Creamy sausage tortellini soup. Oh, yum. Look at that. It tastes incredible. Bring this to a soup potluck and it'll be gone. You won't be bringing any leftovers home. Okay, we can't forget the desserts. I'm a dessert girl and I gotta have my treats, right? So these recipes are perfect for any special occasion. Let's make an irresistible pistachio cake. For this recipe, you'll need a white cake mix, some instant pistachio pudding, oil and eggs for the cake, club soda, and some finely chopped pecans or pistachios. With my pistachios, I'm gonna finely chop these so I get about a half a cup. You can use a yellow cake mix if needed, but white will give you more of a green color, and you'll be able to taste the pistachio flavor a lot more. Then you'll need a small box of instant pistachio pudding. Ooh, it almost looks blue. And we're gonna add 3 eggs, a cup of oil. I'm using canola oil. We're gonna mix this on medium speed for about 2 minutes. Then I'm gonna add a cup of the club soda in. The club soda is gonna help with the lightness of the cake. And then we're gonna mix this on low together. Okay, we're gonna fold in that half cup of finely chopped pistachios. This is ready to go into our bundt pan. So grab yourself a bundt pan. I'm just gonna spray it down with some extra virgin olive oil spray. We're gonna flour it, so sprinkle in some flour. Just gonna hit it around with some of that flour. This will help us when we wanna get it out of the bundt pan. I can't say bundt pan now without being like from my big fat Greek wedding. A bundt, a bundt. Okay, then we're gonna pour the batter in. Have your oven preheated to 350 degrees, and this is going to bake for 40 to 45 minutes until a toothpick inserted comes out clean. Ooh, let's get this in the oven. When your cake is done, have it cool for 10 minutes in the pan and then turn out onto a serving plate. All right, here's the scary part if it's gonna come out of the pan. Ugh, nope, okay. Gonna grab a knife and we're gonna cut around the edges. All right, please work, please work. Yes. Have that cake cool completely. Okay, for the frosting, we're gonna need 2 envelopes of the Dream Whip topping mix. And we're gonna mix that with 1 small box of instant pistachio pudding and 1 1/2 cups of milk. We're gonna mix this together on low speed until it's all combined. And then I'm gonna increase the mixing speed to high and then beat for another 4 to 6 minutes or until there's soft peaks forming. Now it's time to spread the frosting evenly over the cake. This is where I reveal that I am horrible at frosting cakes. This cake could be great for a lot of holidays. For St. Patrick's Day, fill the whole of the bundt cake with some gold foiled wrapped chocolate coins. For Easter, we could sprinkle the top with some shredded coconut and then dot the top with some Cadbury mini eggs. Oh, that would be so cute with the yellow, blue, pink, and white eggs on top. And also for Christmas, we can garnish the cake with some maraschino cherries and have it look like a holiday wreath. One suggestion I saw online was to lay the cherries on a paper towel to dry a bit so that the juices don't bleed into the frosting. Now you could top this with about 1/4 cup of finely chopped pecans or pistachios, but there was so many pistachios in the cake already that I wasn't too sure. So I got the opinion from my mom and dad and they were like, yeah, just leave the pistachios off the top. So that's what we did. So I've shared these cherry bars with you before. If you're not a cherry person, replace it with strawberries. It is so good. And this is going to make about 10 to 12 servings. Okay, in a mixing bowl, we're gonna beat together the butter, the sugar, until it's creamy. Okay, next we're gonna add the eggs. We're gonna add them one at a time, and we're gonna beat these. Then we're gonna add a 1/2 teaspoon of the almond and the vanilla. We're gonna add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and then a 1.5 cups of flour. Combine this very well. That is done. All right, I'm gonna use this baking sheet, and this is a 12 by 8.5. I'm gonna spray my pan. Then we're gonna put a 1.5 cups of the batter at the bottom and save the rest that we're gonna put on top. Okay, we're gonna spread the pie filling down on it. We're gonna take the rest of the batter and just not spread it on, but just kind of place it on, if that makes sense. All right, that's as good as it's gonna get. And we're gonna put this in the oven at 350 degrees. My recipe says 40 to 50 minutes, but I don't know if that's the whole processing time. So we'll keep an eye on it. We are going to make the glaze for on top. We're gonna need a 1/2 cup of sifted powdered sugar. So I have this weird thing here. Sifted. I do have a bigger sifting machine. It's like, do I really want to take that out? All right, I'll do what they say. So I have my sifter, and we need a 1/2 cup of sifted powdered sugar. It's like Christmas. It's kind of fun to watch. Can you see that? We're gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla and a 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract and 1 tablespoon of milk. All right, we're gonna whisk this together. Ooh, look at that glaze. Nice. Smells good too. And then I'm just going to, with my whisk, just put little bits throughout it. I think I'm gonna like this more than just cherry pie, because a piece of cherry pie, that's a lot for me. But this, just getting a little square of this, I think I'm gonna like better. Look how beautiful. So pretty. Look how good and clean it comes off the cookie sheet. Oh my goodness. We gotta taste this. Oh wow. All right, that is amazing. The almond in that glaze really adds something to this. Perfect. This is gonna be great for the holidays. It'll be just as yummy during the summer. So good. Give it a try. Let's make pocket lemon cake. Heat your oven to 350 degrees. In a 9 by 13 pan, we're gonna spray it with some cooking spray and then sprinkle in some flour. We'll need 1 box of white cake mix. We're gonna follow the recipe that's on the box. Let's add 1 1/4 cups of water. I'm using a 1/3 cup of canola oil. We'll need 4 eggs, but just the egg whites. So I'm gonna separate these. Add that to your batter. And now I'm just gonna give this a good mix. Now I'm just gonna spread the batter in my pan. We'll need 1 can of lemon pie filling, and this is a 15-ounce can. You can also use 1 box, about 3.4 ounces of lemon instant pudding and pie filling, all prepared up. We're gonna drop heaping spoonfuls throughout the cake batter. This is more like tablespoons. I would do teaspoons, but I'm excited. I'm just getting it on. Now I'm gonna bake this for 30 to 40 minutes or until the edges pull away from the pan and the top is golden brown. Ooh, look at this. Now we're gonna have this just cool in the pan for 45 minutes or until it's completely cooled. So for the frosting, the recipe calls for vanilla, but also gives the option of lemon frosting. But I wanna try both. So I think I'm gonna go a little crazy and do half with the lemon and half with the vanilla. I tried the lemon frosting and it is delicious. But I love lemon everything, so I don't mind if something is too lemony, but not everyone loves a major lemony flavor. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take half this frosting and we're gonna split it with this 8-ounce Cool Whip, because I wanna try it with both. All right, that is done. Now we could work on the lemon one. I probably could have just put that in here instead of wasting a dish. Oh well, nice afterthought. Give this a mix. What are some other Easter or spring desserts that you absolutely love or have always wanted to try for the season? Let me know. All right, now that these are whipped up, let's frost half and half. Still halving the recipe, that's a lot of frosting. Holy cow. All right, time for the lemon. I think everyone's gonna probably like the lemon more. Just have a feeling. Okay, this is delicious. It's not too lemony. I tried both with the vanilla frosting and the lemon frosting, and hands down, I have to say, it's better with the lemon frosting. This is delicious. This is really a yummy, light dessert. If you're hungry for more, check out these videos here where I share some more hearty, delicious, drool-worthy recipes that I know you probably have the ingredients already on hand. I'll meet you over there. Thanks for joining me today, friends. Bye.